Rooted in faith, rooted in love, rooted in pride and tradition, the roots of the African American community have been firmly planted, providing an unwavering anchor for our people. As we venture into the 21st century, we must also root ourselves in research connecting our past and present by deepening our understanding of the world in which we live. We invite you to connect with us for the empowering webinar series, Rooted in Research. During this month-long series, the Delta Research and Educational Foundation, Black Greek Letter Consortium, Cobb Institute, National Panhellenic Council, Delta Teacher Efficacy Campaign, University of Alabama, and other member experts will explore the intricacies, power, and influence of dominant issues concerning our community. Research is continuous and impacts our daily lives. Research builds knowledge, facilitates learning, increases understanding, spreads public awareness, aids in building success, finds, gauges, and seizes opportunities, and provides an avenue to expose lies and amplify truth. Out of a sincere desire to educate our communities, Dreff Research Matters and the Black Greek Letter Consortium are committed to provide a platform to address topics and share educational and relevant information with large audiences of individuals who represent the underrepresented populations of the United States. During these uncertain times, this show of unity throughout our communities is an effort to shift knowledge and perspectives related to all components of education, empowerment, health, and wellness to those who can benefit. Collectively, we will plant seeds of knowledge in mental, physical, and financial health, as well as grow our understanding in the power of community service, social action, education, and mentorship. Celebrating while educating. The Rooted in Research webinar series is committed to strengthening the African American experience.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer J.J. Jones, and I would like to welcome you to the Rooted in Research final webinar for this series. We are so happy that you've joined us this evening as we talk about the power of knowledge. Now what? Each of the panelists this evening will share more from their perspective on the All of Us Research Program. The All of Us Research Program is an historic and innovative program designed to gather 1 million participants to create a database for clinical research. This program strives for a database encompassing volunteers from all backgrounds with a focus on minority or underrepresented populations. This includes communities who have historically had insufficient representation in medical research, such as African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, and people with disabilities. The program was created as a result of Precision Medicine Initiative announced during the State of the Union address on January the 30th, 2015 by the 44th President of the United States, President Barack Obama. He stated, "Doctors have always recognized that every patient is unique, and doctors have always tried to tailor their treatments as best they can to individuals. You can match a blood transfusion with a blood type, which was a very important discovery. But what if matching a cancer cure to a genetic code was just as easy or just a standard? What if figuring out the right dose of medicine was as simple as taking your temperature?" During President Obama's administration, the Precision Medicine Initiative was launched to advance the acceleration of biomedical research and precision medicine. Precision medicine is defined as an emerging approach for disease treatment and prevention that takes into account individual variables in genes, environment, and lifestyle for each person. It can be summed up as the individualized healthcare based upon the factors that make each person different and unique. Some of the basic examples of personalized medicine includes prescription glasses, insulin use, or hearing aids, which are all tailored to the specific individual that use them. The Black Greek Letter Consortium, or the BGLC, which is comprised of the 9 historically Black Greek letter organizations and the collaborative body of the NPHC, have united to promote the importance of precision medicine and participation in clinical research. We recognize instances like the Tuskegee syphilis experiment and the Henrietta Lack story have caused distrust in the Black community and resistance towards getting involved. We use this knowledge as a driving force to develop campaigns, policies, and opportunities that will uplift and support the Black community in our country. Through each organization's national presidents, social media, and on-site activities at various events, we are working together to help generate the diverse database of volunteers that's needed to get to that 1 million or more volunteers. I serve as the program lead for the BGLC with a team of 34 amazing individuals representing each of the Divine 9 organizations. Our task with the All of Us research program is to bring awareness and educate our members and the communities that we serve on the program. As the program was being introduced to me, the then national president of the National Panhellenic Council and the Council of Presidents, it all made sense. You know, that common sense? I understood the importance of the program for the African American community because I had just experienced a 4-year battle with stage 3 breast cancer. And during that journey, I had a number of questions as medications and methods were not working for me. Just as the BGLC team was creating our scope of work, preparing to embark on our very first phase of the program, I was re-diagnosed with breast cancer in the same breast. The breast that during the first diagnosis, I told my doctor, just remove it. The more I worked with the program, the more I began to understand that through both of my journeys, that my medications and methods were based on the average individual that didn't look like me and probably didn't have anything in common with me, which is why some of the things that I was prescribed didn't work for me. I was re-diagnosed the day before my birthday, December the 22nd, 2017. You know, those dates that you just never forget in your life? Well, that's one for me. And 2 months prior to that, my baby brother was diagnosed with liver cancer. He died 4 months after his diagnosis on Valentine's Day. My mother died at the age of 44 of cancer. My father died of cancer. And I lost my first husband at the age of 34 from cancer. I was then given a genealogical test to see if my cancer was hereditary. Now, I have a daughter who has watched me through this twice. She asked me the question with the fear in her eyes that no parent ever wants to see from their child: will I get cancer? Well, the genealogical test showed that not only was my cancer not hereditary, but I was not even prone to get cancer in the first place. Of course, this leads me to ask more questions to better understand what is going on and to have answers for my children and their children. Like I said before, my why for working with the All of Us research program is personal. I want to do all that I can to make sure that I'm an advocate for my own health and the health of my family. I have to give my doctors and researchers something to work with to find answers to the questions that I have. I cannot allow the fears of the past to stifle the answers for my family's medical future. Now that I know, I have the responsibility to take the knowledge and shift my mindset and share the knowledge with others. I share all of this with you in the attempt to make you understand the importance of being a part of medical research, not only as a participant, but also as researchers and doctors seeking answers to the questions that we have as Black people when it comes to our health, but are sometimes too afraid to ask the question. Now more than ever, with the disproportionate numbers of African Americans dying from COVID-19 pandemic, we are steadfastly working to make sure that all are represented for clinical research. And it will take all of us to make that difference. And now I will get off my soapbox and introduce our next panelist, the 34th National President of the National Panhellenic Council, Sarah Venetta Cheeks Reeder.
Good evening. The why. Because we know the power of knowledge is rooted in research. This month of May was a time we celebrated and engaged with our brothers and sisters on the power of knowledge. COVID-19 has reminded us that we need strength and wisdom as we battle this coronavirus that is wreaking havoc on us, people of color. Thanks to the National Panhellenic Council Incorporated and the All of Us Research Program, the Divine Nine organizations were able to present health information to enrich our minds and souls in these unprecedented times. We tapped into each other's organization to target a national initiative where we are doing great work. The webinar series looked at mental health from a clinical view, examined triggers and responses, and included the perspective of interfaith and peace. Our mental health has to be as strong as our physical health. We discussed the power of healthy living. We know that healthy physical activity, good nutritional choices, and healthy relationships must be maintained all throughout life. The power of education is something we know as a community will always take us further. We also know that once we get education or knowledge, no one can take that away from us. The power of mentorship is so important in our development. Ideally, it starts at a young age. We know that the data shows us that individuals with mentors achieve even more in life. It is also healthy to have mentors in adult life. The power of financial health. We have to work to expand generational wealth. We have to start with education in childhood so we develop behaviors, principles, and practices in life that lead to financial security. We must understand the value of multiple streams of revenue. As COVID has taught us, one primary stream of income can be removed very quickly. The power of community service. We must give in order to receive. We must be a voice to the voiceless. Lastly, which is so significant, the power of social action. We cannot be complacent. We have been given a call to action and cannot let COVID-19 stop us from fighting for a fair and equitable society. The power of our vote must be exercised at every level like never seen before. We must also be sure we are counted. It was made very clear the census is about power and money, and we must not lose sight of that. We closed out the educational series with a holiday break celebrating our 2020 graduates as well as our collegiate members. A virtual day party was held with the experience looking at college strolling and taking us back to some of us to what that time was. It was a further reminder of how we as members of the Divine Nine are stronger together. Now that we are at the close of the series, and with all this knowledge rooted in research, we are at the stage of the power of knowing. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Patricia Watkins Lattimore, CEO of the Delta Research and Educational Foundation. I also serve as the principal investigator for DREF's NIH All of Us Research Initiative. I'm elated to share this 11th webinar Rooted in Research series with you. The webinars for this series made for an information-packed month. The series provided empowering information to us throughout the month on topics that are critical, from mental health to financial health, from social action to mentoring, and from community service to education. We truly believe that when you know better, you are equipped to make better choices. DREF is a 501c3 organization established by Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in 1967. For the past 5 decades, we have been committed to creating possibilities and improving the lives of African American women and their families. Our work at DREF centers on the 2 key words in our name: research and education. We examine critical issues and their impact on our lives. We are engaged in numerous educational development and charitable initiatives in partnership with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority and other community-based organizations. 4 years ago, DREF submitted an application to become a national community engagement partner with the National Institutes of Health All of Us research program. DREF saw this initiative as a way for us to engage the African American community through the combined outreach of DREF, working in tandem with Delta Sigma Theta sorority and the National Council of Negro Women. This is my 3rd year as the principal investigator, spearheading DREF's engagement platform entitled Research Matters, creating possibilities to achieve health and wellness for all of us. Our efforts focused on engaging African American communities across this nation to create awareness and dispel myths about the importance of clinical trials and biomedical research in achieving optimal health for ourselves and our families, now and for generations to come. We tackled the abhorrent history about the Tuskegee experiments and the poor treatment of Henrietta Lacks's family. We did this to help our community move past those missteps to claim the value of precision medicine for us today and into the future. We work to create understanding and acceptance among the African American community that precision medicine is healthcare. Healthcare that is based on each person's environment, lifestyle, and specific biology. We inform and encourage our community to become one of a million to join the research initiative, to find the best ways for people to stay healthy, to create better tests to see if our people are sick or are at risk of getting sick, and to make new discoveries that could advance precision medicine. We encourage participation to help NIH maintain a diverse and inclusive database. There are many diseases that affect African Americans disproportionately, and in order to develop effective treatment and preventative measures for these diseases, research must be conducted with African Americans in order for the medication and treatment developed to be precise for African Americans. In closing, I must commend the DREF Research Matters team and the Black Greek Letter Consortium for making an impressive pandemic pivot from the voluminous in-person schedule of face-to-face outreach activities to a total virtual awareness campaign. Lots of energy and late night sessions were invested to continue the awareness campaign through the Rooted in Research webinar series. This series has given us a coveted chance to continue our outreach efforts to inform and empower African Americans with beneficial information. Let us embrace all that we've gained from our presenters this month and take bold steps to continue empowering African American women and our communities for a healthier future. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. My name is Darrell Anderson. I'm the International Executive Director for Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I'm also a program coordinator with the Black Greek Letter Consortium, a part of the All of Us Research Project. I'm also an ordained Baptist minister, and they've given me the microphone. So let us pray. Why? Why? Why is a 3-letter word that appears over 500 times in our scripture? When it comes to precision medicine, we have to be honest and say the average person may be questioning this. Why should I do this research? Why should I participate in a clinical drug trial? Why should I attend an All of Us activation? Why should I view the numerous Rooted in Research webinars? Why? You don't know. You don't know. When it comes to precision medicine practitioners, we have to be honest and say the answer is to any and every question asked of them. We don't know all of the answers. We don't know all of the answers. They don't know yet. It's a perfect storm. And you say, why is it a perfect storm? And that answer is because of the word faith. It is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. This is a part of the faith equation. You see, faith plus hope equals trust. And that's where we are with the All of Us program, the All of Us research program. It's about trust. It's about giving an opportunity to advance something that simply hadn't been done in the past. And I guess you're asking, does this research project fit my plans for the future? Have I made arrangements to do this research? Why should I participate in clinical processes surrounding precision medicine? What about projects like the Tuskegee Institute? How can I trust the circumstance? And what is the plan? What is my plan? Well, the problem is at this point, we may be trying to do some planning. We may be trying to work it out ourselves. Well, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. We don't have to equate wondering why, about worrying why, about asking why, and trying to seek answers that we don't have in front of us. That's the Lord's plan. And since some of the answers about precision medicine are not yet known to you, not yet known to me, we are okay with you asking precision medicine questions. And why should you be a participant in the All of Us research project? We're okay with that. You're asking questions simply because you are interested. And you being interested means that you're seeking knowledge. You're seeking knowledge about this research project. And that's as far as we plan to extend ourselves. That's why we created so many webinars to help you understand where you fit into this. This is God's plan. We simply provide information for you to go back and seek knowledge through him. The All of Us team, the BGLC team, and the NIH team are really okay with you asking any question that comes about. We're okay with you walking in your faith and with your faith leaders. We encourage you to do so. It's your path. It's the path that you are leading. We're okay because we understand the scripture. Matthew 7:7-8 says, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks, it will be open. And while we may not have all of the answers to the questions that you may have about precision medicine, we may not have all of the questions that you may ask about any type of clinical research, we do understand that we trust the process. That's why we're active participants in it. That's why we've actively engaged so many people, content knowledge specialists, in a number of webinars that have been brought about through Rooted in Research. We know where we can send you so that you can get the answers to your questions about clinical research and about the All of Us project. And we will work with you and all of your faith-based leaders to properly help you walk firmly on this particular journey. Yeah, the goal is to decrease healthcare disparities in your life and the life of others that you know. We want you to help us address those illnesses that are specific to people of color. And we're talking about lupus and sickle cell anemia and heightened incidences of prostate cancer. And as my good friend Jennifer said, breast cancer. We don't know those answers. That's why we are a research program. That's why it's all of us. Too often, too long, too far long, it has been about us sampling what others have done for us. We're out of that now. That's not how we walk, because we have the faith that this will happen and this will come about during our lifetime. Their answer will be provided to us, and it may come through All of Us research. It has to come through our faith in projects like this. So why? I don't know why. I don't have to know why precision medicine will work. All I have to say is, why not? Why not? Why not let you be a part of the answer? Why not let you participate in this project? That's what we want you to do. Ask the questions and let us guide you to those who can provide answers, and let your faith guide you in these circumstances.
Good evening. I am Dr. Doris Brown, a medical oncologist, the 118th president of the National Medical Association, and co-principal investigator for the Montague Cobb NMA Research Institute grant on the All of Us program. The W. Montague Cobb Research Institute was formed as a high-level think tank to respond to solutions of health inequities. And it is through the vision and leadership of the Institute and benefiting from the long history of advocacy by the National Medical Association that we focus on identifying issues and developing solutions that will reduce the racial and ethnic health disparities, as well as improve the health of overall African Americans. The Institute is a major contributor to the programs for advancement of the National Medical Association, as well as it is a respected and trusted resource of information among the many organizations and academic partners. Slide, please. We perform cutting-edge work with the All of Us research program as a proponent of the precision medicine. And we know that the All of Us research program is one of the largest health research projects ever. Its health information is really donated by the participants from all backgrounds. And it has health research that can only help people of all the various backgrounds to improve their overall health. Currently, there are over 348,000 participants that have already joined the program. And as you've heard, the goal is to enroll 1 million or more individuals. We also know that there's a tremendous lack of diversity in research. African Americans, Hispanics, and Asian Americans make up only 10% of the tenured faculty in academic institutions. And African Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans in those tenured positions represent less than 4% of the research intensive departments. We also recognize that racial disparities in federal funding for health research really shows that there are only about 11% that will likely go to the African American investigators as you compare this to the white counterparts. Even after you control for certain variables, such as the level of education, training, and experiences. So it is important for us to try to minimize the really lack of diversity that you see in the research faculties as it impacts the healthcare and health outcomes of the Black and Brown participants. COB has implemented strategies to identify providers in order to increase the education and awareness among the African American providers in the community. We are working with the All of Us research program to enhance the enrollment. We recognize certainly that there are researchers from underrepresented backgrounds that are more likely to want to work with underrepresented populations, and particularly those socially disadvantaged communities. We work continually to chart our enrollment results and find specific designated locales throughout the country. We host and participate in events with our partner organizations to really stimulate the enrollment to the All of Us programs, keeping in mind the program mission that will speed up the health research background. As mentioned before, the All of Us research program is asking 1 million people to share their health information, and very soon the program will have the availability for researchers to ask the keen research questions that's going to improve our health outcome. Next slide. Currently, the composition of the All of Us research cohort is very diverse, as we have already fully enrolled individuals that are very inclusive of the mosaic that represents the United States. They have access to that data from various types, and they are really strongly a part of the participants that's going to recruit their families and friends to participate in this program. Next slide. And moving forward, the Cobb Institute is really going to be re-engaged in solutions for health equity as it relates to the social determinants of health. And today we know that every institution around the world is involved in the COVID-19 pandemic. This gives us an equal opportunity to move forward and re-engage, because out of this will become tremendous data that we can find out why we are disproportionately having a higher mortality rate from this disease and various other diseases. We will continue to fully engage with our community and academic partners, as well as the partners of the BGLC, in order for the all of us partnership to grow and establish what is going to become the new norm for our enlightened communities. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I am an assistant professor at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, the Department of Community Medicine and Population Health. My name is Dr. Joy Bradley, and I have the privilege of working as a community engagement lead in the University Medical Center, which is an all of us healthcare provider organization. My why is this little girl. Can y'all share the picture? About 3 years ago, we learned that our oldest daughter was a type 1 diabetic. And although she has handled her new diagnosis with the grace that most adults wouldn't have, we've had a lot of challenges with all the things that come with monitoring blood sugars, never-ending finger pricks, counting carbs, sick days from school, just basically dealing with a chronic illness on top of the beginnings of teenage trials and tribulations. This picture shows Mia visiting the All of Us Journey Bus. She was asked to write how participating in the All of Us program might help her family. So I'm excited to share her excitement about the possibilities and the potential of this program for both type 1 and type 2 diabetics, and how 1 million American contributions can have the power to enhance research efforts towards a better future for not only her health and the health of our descendants, but also the health of communities of color that suffer from health disparities in almost every category of disease and illness. Now that you've tuned into this great webinar series about advancing science and the health of Americans, specifically communities of color, through precision medicine initiatives like All of Us, you may be wondering, what does this participation in the program actually look like? So I just want to share the 6 easy steps that it takes to become a full participant. Now, in light of COVID-19, we are not actively completing step 5, but we anticipate that there'll be a relaunch effort for face-to-face activities in June. So stay tuned for more information on that. With that being said, you can still start the process by creating your account on the joinallofus.org website. The first thing you would do once you get on the website is give your consent after watching some videos. Then you would agree to share your electronic health records. You would answer 3 health surveys, plus the COPE survey that we mentioned in an earlier series. And again, once we resume face-to-face activities, you would visit one of the HPO or healthcare provider organizations, like the University Medical Center, to give a biospecimen sample. So what that looks like is we will take measurements of your height, your weight, your blood pressure, and then take a small sample of blood and urine. Now, once you completed all of those steps, you receive a $25 gift card for your time and effort. Now, I also want to mention and thanks to all the people who've already taken some of those steps. And just know that this is a 10-year-long program. And so you're going to be receiving additional surveys throughout the life of this process. So do me a favor and log back into the health portal Remember your password. If you don't, that's okay. There is a 1-800 number that you can call to get access, to gain access back into your portal. So go back in, make sure you completed all of your surveys. Make sure you complete that COPE survey, because that's going to be really important in figuring out how all of us are dealing with the COVID-19 shelter in place and this, like everyone's saying, new normal. And so that's all that I have. And I'm looking forward to your questions about what the participation process looks like.
Good evening. This is Atu R. McCaslin. I am the Communication and Participant Manager at Morehouse School of Medicine Clinical Research Center. Morehouse School of Medicine is a part of a consortium called the Southeastern Enrollment Centers that comprises of ourselves, Emory University, University of Florida, and University of Miami. What I do, particularly at Morehouse School of Medicine, is that I lead the engagement efforts as well as our recruitment and communication strategy, as well as work with our team through our enrollment process. As an HPO, what we actually do is a combination of a lot of different things. We engage people in the community as well as in the clinic setting. This involves doing several things like tabling and what a lot of the panelists were discussing, answering questions, debunking myths. Our team is comprised of people who have a passion for research and a history for research. So these same people are research assistants. They are talking with people in the community, and they're also doing the actual enrollment when you come to one of our enrollment centers, as Dr. Bradley just described. One of the things that actually happens after enrollment is what they kind of mentioned was about retention. One of the most important things is not only enrolling in the project, but is what you do after you finish enrolling. We want people to, we try to encourage them to spread that knowledge, talk about your experience. That really helps with planting those little seeds to really debunk a lot of these myths when it comes to research. I started, my why is, I started working at Morehouse School of Medicine several years ago, and I had no idea what clinical research was. I had a vague idea. Usually when people think of research, they think of taking medicines and pharmaceutical stuff. But after working there, research is so much more besides things like that. It's a lot of educational things, taking surveys, sharing your information so that researchers that work at the Clinical Research Center, they'll have a repository of data that they can look at to help figure out these breakthroughs in medicine. When we're engaging with people in the community from an educational institute standpoint, one of the things that we tell people that research is like being proactive to the being proactive, where that with the information that you choose to share helps generations on down the line. And that's really is really valuable in regards to our health and well-being. At Morehouse School of Medicine, our main theme is leading the creation and advancement of health equity. So what does health equity mean as it relates to research? Well, by participating, you're creating more equity in your health in your community by participating in the project. One of the things I want everybody to kind of like take away from this is really making sure that you challenge yourself by asking questions. I think somebody had mentioned that if you're asking questions, that means that you're actually interested, that you're not going to just let somebody just tell you what it is. You want to find out more about the information. When we have been, since we've been engaging with the communities, we've identified 3 pillars that we notice as challenges when we engage and then also when we enroll. That's privacy, trust, and return of value. I'm really looking forward to these questions. I'm really excited to be a part of these panelists. When everybody was going through, I was trying to figure out, I was like, wow, they are hitting all the points. So I hope everybody who is watching this is taking note. If you do want to get some more information about Morehouse School of Medicine and you're interested in enrolling, I urge you to go to msm.edu/all-of-us, and you can get some more information about what we're doing is within the All of Us Research Project, as well as seeing what Morehouse School of Medicine's Clinical Research Center is doing as far as education and outreach to people in our community. So I look forward to the questions. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Camille White. I represent Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated as part of the Black Greek Letter Consortium and the All of Us Research Program. I am a trained physician, health informaticist, and clinical researcher. I am also one of the 3 co-creators focused on the All of Us data browser. In that role, I speak directly with NIH senior leadership on how our information should be displayed and protected from misuse. I love that during this webinar, we're discussing the why. With the recent preponderance of Black people being murdered and subject to all levels of racism during a worldwide pandemic, we must be able to tell our stories, and that's part of my why. I join All of Us to offer my medical insight in one-on-one conversations with people who look just like me. I want to encourage Black people to share information that can reduce health disparities, improve health equity through biomedical research, and improve opportunities for preventative care. The information you share is collected in the All of Us data browser. The data browser is a database that holds aggregates of information like smoking history, physical fitness, nutrition, and medical history. It does not include your name or other identifying information. While there are security and privacy safeguards in place, as a leader in the program, I speak directly to protecting our data and making sure it aligns with true and accurate picture of healthcare in the Black community. Since the data browser is open to all researchers here in the United States as well as abroad, even people who aren't professionally trained in researching, high school students can use the database if they want to. So I encourage Black people from all backgrounds to take a look at the data. The fact of the matter is only 7% of researchers are people of color. Let's use our own data to do research that will support our communities, create policy and funding to address our healthcare gaps. We have to be the ones telling our stories that are pertinent to our community and getting the resources that we need. Tonight, my mission is to provide clarity around the data collected and talk through a sample research use case that can be used to help us come up with other ideas on how that data can benefit us. First slide, please. This first slide shows several buckets on the data, on information that will be collected from you. And Dr. Joy did a good job of going through it in more detail, but I want to highlight the most important part of joining the program is the informed consent. Informed consent can be explained in writing or through video. So you need to make sure you understand the objectives of the program, your rights, and how you'll be participating. You can sign up through healthcare provider organizations or directly through your computer, phone, or app. And if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to people because you want to make sure you understand. When you participate, you may be asked to do any of the following, which includes surveys, just basic questions about your overall lifestyle, nutrition, family and medical history, exercise habits, and other factors. For physical measurements, they'll include heart rate, weight, height, waist circumference, blood pressure, and other factors. And for biosamples, you'll be asked to provide blood samples or urine or saliva. The program can even link to wearable devices such as Fitbits and other health apps, and that'll be sometimes in the future, other exercise trackers. Next slide, please. This slide is an overview of how the data can be used to flush out opportunities for wellness. So if you go to the top, it talks about risk and prevention. And anytime anytime you want to set up a research study, you have to ask certain questions. So when people talk about diseases that affect our communities, you got to think about why. You just can't take it for face value and say, oh, you know, a lot of Black people have diabetes and that's how it is, or a lot of Black people have accidents and that's how it is. You have to ask those pertinent questions. So let's start with risk and prevention. Are there sidewalks in your communities where people can walk, run, jog, or push a baby stroller? Without sidewalks, folks have to walk in the street, and this increases their risk of getting hit by cars. You could use the information in the database, drill down into your community and see what those risks are, and perhaps come up with policy and programs that'll push forward initiatives that can help our people. Diagnosis. Is there a neighborhood hospital or health clinic, or do people have to travel far to get medical care? This impedes our access to preventative care and early diagnosis. This lowers our chances of being healthy. So one other question you could ask, and even go through the database and find out in specific communities, how many hospitals do we have? And then even COVID, what's our access to telemedicine like? And you can create research studies around this. Treatment and outcomes. How many grocery stores are in your neighborhood? Is it a food desert? Is there access to vitamins and nutritional supplements? Without grocery stores, there's a high reliance on pre-cooked meals, which may be high in calories. So that's another issue that might be impacting us. Overall, the opportunity for us to use our own data and prescribe our own preventative measures is endless. We have to be able to tell our own stories, and the database offers transparency through the data browser and allows us to do just that. Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate your questions at the end.
Thank you so very much to all of the panelists. As I was listening to each of you, it just continued to ring true as to how important collaboration is. And on this project, to have so many passionate, knowledgeable, and gifted organizations and representatives at the table for this conversation is absolutely amazing. So, you know, the power of knowing is true, because my people perish for what? Lack of knowledge. So we have a lot of knowledge that have come forth in this series. And now that we have that knowledge, now what? So we're going to shift into some Q&A to further discuss some things with the panelists and pose some questions that we received and go deeper into the conversation so that you can start to think about your why and also how you can move to action, learning more even about research or an organization or how to get connected. Remember that each of these series show up on the National Panhellenic Council website. That's really important because all of them will live there as living content, and you can always go back to those episodes on the Facebook Live, but as well as the website where it's an easy click. We've also created a space for everyone that's connected with us throughout the Rooted in Research to come to a Rooted and Ready. And we'll tell you more about what that next step looks like at the end of this particular webinar and how we're collecting the information to be able to communicate with you. So now we're going to go right into the Q&A. The first question will be posed to Patricia Watkins-Lattimore, and it says, in addition to the All of Us research program, what does DREF do?
Thank you, Johnny. In addition to All of Us, it seems like that's about all of us doing lately these days. But DREF has several ongoing initiatives. We have an educational collaboration that we're doing with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We're into our third year of a DTEC Tag Teacher Efficacy Initiative, outreaching to teachers across the country in major cities and 5 regional areas. We try to promote and manage a Stephanie Tubbs Jones intern in partnership with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation every summer. Our research work culminates in a peer-reviewed issuance called the Phyllis Journal every year, as well as we work with our Delta Sigma Theta sorority chapters to generate funds for their charitable initiatives, as well as awarding scholarships on an annual basis. And we manage the sororities disaster relief fund for when we run across the invariable environmental issues.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know a lot of people ask like, what is DREF and what does DREF do? So that was a good question. The next question I want to pose to Reverend Daryl Anderson.
So what is the general outcome that you've experienced when delivering the message about the All of Us research program to church attendees and faith-based constituency?
It's been favorable. It's been favorable, and I certainly appreciate all of the opportunities that I have to work with those who are attending various webinars, seminars, walkthroughs, to give them that information. The question is always, what is all of us? Then it's followed up with, what is clinical research and what is this research project? And then it follows up, why should I do that? I worked under the blood of Jesus, and I'm always saved. And what we have an opportunity to remind people that science, clinical research, and faith are not adversaries in the process. They are not. And I mean, if you really want to take it down the nice little road, one of the disciples was a physician. So you have to kind of work through that process with them and tell them, I'm not here to try to change your mind. I'm here to try to open your mind. And when I'm opening your mind, I'm not putting anything in it. I'm just leading you down a path that allows you to gather information so that you can make your own decision. It's always an opportunity for them to share with others that may be in their church, including the pastor, what they're finding out. Why? Because it explodes the opportunities for all of us to have more activation. So it has been a positive experience for me. Now, I would not sit here and tell you that everyone who comes by becomes an advocate when they leave the table, because that's not how it works. It takes time for people to actually be fully engaged in it. But the fact that they asked a question and they felt comfortable to come to me, any of my teammates, when we're doing this, I just use that as a chance to move on, give them the word, let it connect with everything in their spirit, and let them get the information about the program, and I'm all good. So it's been good. I appreciate it.
That's good. That's really good. I love how you say you just plant your seed, right? And you don't worry about where the watering's coming from.
Hey.
We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there though, right?
We can.
I love how you said that in about the science piece too, because in one of the earlier series, when we had the National Baptist Convention on talking about mental health, it was the narrative was raised about getting the ministers and the pastors with the therapists and things. And I think we're in that spot, right, where we have to lift that conversation so that we can break down those silos and further move our community forward. So I appreciate you lifting that about the faith-based community. Anybody else want to speak to that? Because I know many people may have done some activations in the faith-based area, in the faith-based space. Anybody have anything to speak to that before we move to the next question?
Come on, Jennifer, come on.
It was coming out. We actually have worked with a couple of churches here in Dallas where the first thing we did with the activation is that we viewed the Henrietta Lacks story, the whole movie, just to put that out there, totally put that out there. And of course, the reactions from the movie, we had questions about people's reaction. What's your initial reaction to the movie? They talked about that, but then we had a panel like this, where we talked about the importance of research and giving them another view. And it totally shifted their mindset. I saw the shift in the mindset where they understood we got to do more. We have to understand that we need to be a part of this and we can't run from this. And to where at one of the churches, it carried on for the entire year, where they were trying to get us to go to different cities within the state of Texas to present this. And they have it was a women's group actually that just played it forward. And they actually had the HPO to come to the church after that for the entire year to get people signed up. So it was a total mind shift. And I mean, it was great. And it happened at both of the churches that we participated with the movie, showing the movie.
That's good. That's good. So it's been received, and it takes time. We've learned in all of this over the last couple of years, to get all of us involved, we have to pause for a minute and back up and let's just talk about the basics. What is research? And then you scaffold that information, because our community, we're in a learning curve. The stats were shared tonight about the diversity in researchers, right? And how low it is. So we have a learning curve here as we're talking about this. So we got to realize our audience, our community, and where we got to meet them where they are. And then give them information, allow them to ask the question so that trust can be built and we can move forward. So really good. And I'm glad that the faith-based component is here because it's needed. The next question is going to be for Dr. Brown. and this is really good too, Dr. Brown. How engaged are American physicians in the All of Us research program? I think this is a really, really important question.
Could you repeat part of that, because the voice was, I hope I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. The question was, how engaged are African American physicians in the All of Us research program?
Thank you so much. Like everyone else, some physicians are not as engaged. The majority of them, and the Cobb Institute as a HPO has been educating and increasing the awareness for African American physicians. And again, we've had the lights come on. I should also say that the National Medical Association has for at least 15 years educating providers about clinical research. And we have been working to increase the minority participation in clinical trials. Yes, you have to become a trusted resource in the community before people will actually take what you're saying and then want to act on it. And it is really important that you have to, one, say to providers, physicians, that your patient participating in this All of Us research program does not mean you're going to lose your patients, because that has been a concern of African American physicians sending their patients to participate in clinical research and then not coming back to them. And so they're losing revenue. So they don't want to do that. But here you're talking about, this is an information database resource, and your patients are not going anywhere. They're going to be your patients. And so you are going to help them, because at some point, a research question can be answered that may help you to better help your patients and give them a better health outcome. And so this is really critical. And we wanted to say that no research should be done on us without us participating. And that becomes really critical for us to become more engaged. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that insight. I think, you know, just as community members, we're shifting mindsets, we're educating and bringing awareness to shift mindsets and perspectives around this whole topic. And it seems like from you all's vein and your vision, you're shifting in that medical field, you know, for the African-American doctors, for them to understand, okay, so what is this really? What is really going on with this, and how can it benefit us? Because there are some benefits and value for that community when you look at the process and how it can advance healthcare. So,
absolutely.
Yep. Anybody else want to speak to that piece about the Black doctors? Okay. If not, we're going to move to Dr. Bradley. This one is for you. How is the DNA information process different between All of Us and Ancestry.com or 23andMe or some of those other methods of getting?
So we get this question a lot, and what we say is that all of us participants can expect to get information about their ancestry, so where their family comes from. They can also expect to get information about certain traits that you have. So for instance, we talk about why some people may love or hate cilantro. And then whether or not you have an increased risk for developing a particular health condition. And there are some that we're looking at more closely than others, but that's going to change throughout the life of the All of Us program. We also want to know, how does your body react to certain medications and other health-related information? So just to make it clear, and Dr. Brown talked a little bit about this, that this isn't medical genetic testing. So this isn't taking the place of any conversations that you may have with your doctor, but it's an information database resource. So that being said, if you are a participant in the All of Us research program, you will be able to contact a genetic counselor through our Genetic Counseling Resource Center for free. And so once you get your DNA results, you'll be able to schedule a genetic counseling appointment online through your All of Us account. And once you have that conversation with the genetic counselor, you can go and then have a more facilitated conversation with your primary care physician to talk about what that may mean for your actual healthcare.
Awesome clarity there. Thank you. I know that question is one that you get a lot. So I'm glad that you were able to sort of break that down and dispel some myths in regards to how all of that works. So Mr. McCaslin is similar to Dr. Joy. They do some of the same thing. He's at an enrollment center. I think it's the Southeast Enrollment Center at Morehouse School of Medicine. And so we have this question for you. What have you learned are the main challenges when engaging with the Black community as it relates to research?
Oh man, so I think what we kind of like identified as some of the main challenges is, you know, privacy, trust, and return of value. You know, when we actually start engaging with people, they want to know a lot more about what research is. I think in the age that we're living in, as far as like big data, things like the Henrietta Lacks movie, a lot of privacy concerns that go along with data breaches, we're starting to hear more questions about what's going on with my data, what's going to happen after I participate. You know, how do I know you guys are not going to make a clone of me? You know, these are real things that people are saying. And also with the return of value. Some people, when we talk to, and it's just to be honest about it, you know, we're primarily engaging with people in West Atlanta. And we give the spiel, we ask questions, but then sometimes we say, well, you know, there's like, well, what do I get if I participate? And then me, well, you do get compensated. Well, how much is that? $25. Oh, here I come. So what we try to do is like, okay, hold on. Looks like you focus on that $25. Let's go back and let me make sure that you understand and you're well informed before you make that decision. Because we don't want people just making decisions just based on the monetary value that we're getting right now. We know within the Black community, a lot of people, we're not really thinking about generations ahead. Most people, we're thinking about what's going to happen right now. So it's more so of having a conversation, asking questions. And the Reverend kind of said something that we open up with. That's our first question we ask people. Tell me what you know about clinical research. We don't want to assume people don't know anything. We want to, you know, kind of like build them up with what they already know. And the second thing we ask them is, what is precision medicine? Give me your best answer. So we can kind of create this dialogue and a chance to educate them so we can get over those three challenges that we face when we're engaging as well as when we're enrolling participants.
That's good. That's really good. Anybody else want to speak to that? Being out in the field and actually doing a lot of engagement. Everybody here has done some engagement. All right.
These people say some interesting things out there, man.
So I would just second what Atara said as far as making sure that people understand that this goes beyond the $25 gift card, and that we are seeing this when we're starting to pay more attention to retention, which is making sure that people stay engaged throughout the whole process. And so when you have those conversations up front and you make sure that, you know, you're sending this message that this isn't necessarily about your present health concerns or where your present health can change, but the health of generations to come is going to change and it's going to be impacted based on the information that you give today. And so I can't say that enough, that, you know, as we think about what this next 10 years looks like and all the other challenges that are going to come around, you know, the other things that we don't even consider, like COVID-19 and how that's really changed the way we're engaging with people, we have to make sure that people have a really, really clear understanding about how important it is that people kind of stay involved throughout this whole time.
Yeah, and Johnny, I'll speak on that too. I know that on the one-on-one conversations that I have, people will candidly ask me, so what are they going to do with all that data? You know, I don't want to become involved in a program where they're going to manipulate my data. You know, Black people have been mistreated, we've been stereotyped, and, you know, and they're valid concerns. And what I do like about the data browser is that it is transparent. People can go on and look at that data. And like I said, only 7% of researchers, professional researchers, are people of color, but the program promotes sharing that data with even high schoolers, citizen scientists, whoever wants to dig in deep and look at those trends in our not only our health disparities, where we're doing good, where we're doing bad, where we need improvement. And they also take us very seriously when we have recommendations on how that data should be presented in the data browser. Anything that could be potentially disparaging to our community, we set up guardrails around it so that it cannot be, to reduce the potential of it being misused. So that's very important. And then thinking towards the future with artificial intelligence, upcoming algorithms and machine learning, it is important that our information be included in that database. And we stand up and take those algorithms in consideration into how that will impact the data. So these are very good conversations to have. Our people are very smart, so they ask some questions and they definitely want answers.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, I think, as everybody here has gone into their respective places and spaces to engage, people latch on and they want to learn more, like you said, they see and they get information. So it's all about really just having a conversation with someone who wants to, or have that receptive to receive and want to know and have a lens that they can adjust, to even hear what you have to say, and they see the value in it, which leads me to the last question that I sort of want to pose to the panel. We talked about value, and I say, when I look at this, I see generational value, right? Like, this isn't just for the right now, this is generational. And when we make shifts, it causes a ripple effect for generations to come. But in the value that we see in our community from what we've learned, if you can share anything around value, but also if you specifically know someone who have actually benefited from clinical research or clinical trials, health research in your personal or professional life. We had some people to share tonight. Jennifer shared her story. Joy shared about her daughter. And I think the more we make it practical and real for our community to see what it looks like, it also it positions all of us for deeper understanding, right?
Yeah.
It positions all of us to connect as one and move forward with that increased trust, right? With that deepened knowledge and understanding. And that's why we have the Rooted in Research, because all of this is rooted in research. We are science. Hello. Just moving on to that question, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to bring your perspective to that value piece. And if you have someone professionally or personally in your life that have benefited, that you can share with our community, I think that's really important. So just briefly, y'all can feel, let's make it fluid, and y'all can just jump in and share if you do.
Well, let me say that, again, it is important for us to participate in the research. It may not benefit you, but it is for science. And so you're helping those future generations. And I can say, I had a very dear friend who had breast cancer 3 times, ovarian cancer twice. She participated in the research programs and also was allowed to get genetic testing when it wasn't so much out there. That benefited her family members because she has had 3 nieces that have developed breast cancer. It really showed that her family had the genetic gene to be at higher risk for breast cancer. And so it helped them to plan for the future in how to go about their lives and knowing whether they should take those preventive steps that are there. So that is really important. The last point that I would want to make is really from the genetic information that all of us is collecting, that this information is not shared with the law enforcement agencies, because some people really get concerned that you're going to share my information with the police and therefore my family members may be targeted. And so that's a really important point for people from our generation and from our ethnic background to know that this information is secure, it is not shared, and it belongs to the individual that's putting it there. While we want them to participate for the entire 10 years, they can withdraw at any point in time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for bringing those points up. I think they were very important. So thank you for bringing that to the conversation. Anybody else about value or someone that you know?
Yeah, I would say this, and let me put this blanket statement out there first. You always have to be prepared for the conversation. because you don't know when the engagement is actually going to take place. A lot of times when you're doing activations and you're participating in the delivery of materials, you're in a setting and you're always on the camera or whatever. That's fine. But let me tell you a story, and it won't be long, but it may be. I was at work one day. I'm the executive director for Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I'm a DRPH student at Morgan State University, minding my own business. And the delivery man came in, and we were talking because I engage with people on all levels, and just talking. He asked me, was I involved with anything else? I was like, man, I do some work with the All of Us research program, and I can give you more information about it if you want to. Had never seen this man before in my life. He said, oh no, I already know about that program. He said, my daughter was in that program and she greatly benefited from what they did. He said, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on now? Because it's been a few years ago that she was active participant. And so it was an engagement process, asking him where he was at this point and asking him, did he plan on following up with her based on the benefit, and asking him, did he put himself and his daughter's circumstance out there for other people to be engaged with him, to understand that this happens on all levels to all people, and anyone can have a story. His turned out to be a testimony, and we just have to be prepared. I mean, it's an everyday walk of life for a lot of people. And what we don't understand is, as we're doing it more, you're talking about 1 million people. At some point, you're gonna run into someone who's in the process who wants to be in. And we just have to always be prepared for it, always be prepared for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anybody else?
So I have two things. The first thing is that in meeting people where they are, it's really been heartwarming for me to have conversations with people about just their health in general, and just for some people to say, you know, I've never got my blood pressure taken before, or I didn't know what my height was, or something like that. And so that return on in value is something that I never even, thought about, but it exists. And the second thing is that being out in the community and having these conversations with community members, I think it's been a really, I can't even put words into it. It's just been a really interesting thing to have these moments of healing, especially, coming from the state of Alabama, where the Tuskegee syphilis study still has such a large presence in how people perceive research in general. And so having these conversations of healing and how to move forward and how to regain trust, that's been a return value on a community level that I wasn't anticipating, but I've really, really been thankful in being a part of that process.
That's awesome. I love how you lifted healing. That's very powerful and comforting. So thank you for that. Anyone else want to speak to that before we move to closing, JJ?
She just called me out, but yes. No, I was even thinking in my circumstances, just being a part of this program, the value of it was putting my mind at ease and the mind of my daughter at ease, to know that, no, this isn't hereditary. I did not get cancer because my mother had cancer. And her sisters, it was several people in my family that got cancer, and just awakening me to try to seek and find out I need to know the answers to this. And all of this to say it came about that it's environmental and where we live, which is another aspect of what this program brings forth. Like the environment I grew up in, chemical row is what they call it. And it was in the water, it was in the air, it was in everything. And now they're actually doing research on the city of Orange, Texas, near Louisiana, to talk about that, because my mother-in-law died of cancer, my husband who died, they died of the exact same cancer, but it was environmental. But I have been able to put her mind at ease that, no, this isn't hereditary. You don't have to worry about this, not that, but being a advocate for our health. Like really not just taking the answers that the doctors give me for law, that yes, you have to do this, this, and this. You got to answer my whys. You have to tell me, why am I doing this? I actually even introduced a program to my oncologist. She had never heard of it. And I sent all the information. She went to the website, and this is information that will help me even more so. So, being a part of this has been a value to my life, And I know that now, even going through this twice, that I know that I went through this for a reason, that it wasn't just for the sake of me going, it was for a reason. And if it's just for me to be a part of this program and to tell my story, that's what I'm going to do. Because I think it adds value to somebody else's life that's going through, that's afraid just to ask the question to their doctor of the why.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I have a little add-on, even though JJ is hard to follow. You know, you go out in the community, and I remember I had a conversation with a sorority sister, and she came to the table and she said that for the females in her family, she found out that there was a history of getting hysterectomies. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said they never talked about it. They just called it female issues. So, you know, the All of Us research program and explaining its offerings is facilitating conversations and families, allowing them to be open. And them getting quiet and saying, okay, let's talk about this. So that's another value of it. It helps facilitate conversations in families throughout generations to help people want to address issues and ask for medical treatment.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share about that as we get ready to close? We got a couple minutes.
Two quick things. First, I want to kind of say, you know, thank you for inviting me to this panel. It's been really invigorating, you know, coming from an enrollment center. The first thing is that, you know, what we kind of learned at the Clinical Research Center, and I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar of this, and also to the people who are watching, you know, women are the head of the household, basically, right? And when they are doing well, the family is doing well. So I want everybody to kind of really think about that. The second thing is for the men that are watching this. You know, most Black men, we already know, are not going to the doctor. They know more about what's going on with their cars than what they're doing with their own health. So we got to make sure that we're treating our bodies just as good as we're treating our vehicles. You know, you go get your oil changed all the time. You might be researching your vehicle all the time before you buy and all this other type of stuff, but you don't know what your blood pressure is, right? So you need to care about your health just as much as you care about that car.
Thank you for that word. Thank you for that nugget of wisdom.
And I was just going to add, this is Vanetta speaking. You know, I come as a healthcare professional as well too. And what I have enjoyed partnering and being a part of the program is, again, the conversation that you have with people. Because in our community, again, we have that distrust, but you can talk them through that. Because we know as you work in healthcare, people are more protected with their information. They don't have to have a reason to have distrust. I'm excited for the fact that we're looking at protocols because we know there's a disparity in treatment and treatment options when we come to the table when we're ill. We're not offered the same treatment. And a lot of times it's been more radical than less invasive. And so I'm just excited that we can just have more targeted information, encourage our communities to ask questions, and to just be encouraged that, you know, we recognize when we're taking all of this medicine and we're not getting better, that there's a problem with that. And we just should not be afraid to ask questions and to talk to people. And so again, just the opportunity to open up conversation and get people encouraged to feel empowered to ask questions.
Yeah. Awesome, awesome. And Ms. Lattimore, anything you want to add before we go to Q&A? I think you're our last panelist. Do you want to add anything, any last statement?
I think it's all been said.
Okay.
We have to say ditto, ditto, ditto.
Awesome, awesome. So we appreciate each and every one of you for taking out time on this evening to do this culminating and go deeper into our whys. Like, you know, why are we even here as organizations, but also why are we even here as people, as humans? Like, our whys are important, but the different perspectives we brought are all the more important. This whole series has been amazing. Our community, I believe, has, you know, seen organizations coming together and bring knowledge on topics that sometimes have been taboo, you know, outside of our homes, not so much as out broadly in the community. So we appreciate everyone tuning in since May the 1st. As we close, we ask you to go to the survey. There's going to be a survey that's going to come up. It's a QR code if you want to use the QR code, or it's a bit.ly link. If you can complete that, and after completing that, make sure that you go back to the NPHC website to go to these archived living content. We was talking this morning, he was like, you know, this is a living series of content. Yes, a lot of series and content and knowledge out there, but this is a great start to go back when you're going through that inner introspective journey and shifting in regards to healthcare and, you know, sort of what you see. Additionally, we've created the Rooted and Ready. Rooted and Ready will also be shared with those who complete the survey and say they want more information. We've created a space for you to come to learn more so that we can even go deeper, be there to answer more questions. So look for that email. If you filled out the survey and you gave your email address and you wanted more information, look for that email soon to let you know about the Rooted and Ready. It's going to be on June 8th at 8 o'clock. And the way you get access is to complete the survey and let us know you want more information. Additionally, we want to thank every organization for their yes. For their yes. We thank you. We thank every member that tuned in, every member that shared, every member that commented, and everyone who will continue to go back and do watch parties. Do a watch party for your family. Do a watch party for your small groups from churches. You can create a whole curriculum of learning and advancing knowledge from this series. So please utilize this content. Additionally, with DTech Tag, we've been closing out every, and we're moving into a summer learning program, which will air every Tuesday and Thursday from 6:30 to 7:30 on the DTech Tag platforms throughout Facebook as well as YouTube, much like what you've seen here, but as well as LinkedIn and Periscope and Twitter. So next Tuesday, we will launch the HeLive lessons out, and you're going to have some amazing knowledge coming forth from an educational equity lens. And then on Thursday, we have Principal Kofele, which we call the Godfather of Education. You can come join us. And this is for all audience, children, grandparents, moms, dads, uncles, aunties, educators, stakeholders. Everyone come on out and join us for that. Again, please don't forget to do your survey and use this content as we move our community forward. If you'd like to connect with DTech Tag, you can just simply text Join Tag to 51555. We thank you again, and we look forward to wherever the knowledge flows from this point on. Stay connected with NPHC, stay connected with each of these organizations, go out to the websites and learn more. We thank you, and we'll see you on the next go round of knowledge. Take care.
For nearly 3 years, Draft Research Matters and the Black Greek Letter Consortium have collaborated to engage our communities through education and awareness events, initiatives, and programs. These efforts promote the need for inclusive research, creating opportunities to reduce health disparities affecting African Americans. On behalf of Draft Research Matters, BGLC, the National Pan-Hellenic Council, and our partners, thank you for joining us for the Rooted in Research webinar series. Please take a moment to complete the Rooted in Research survey by scanning the QR code that appears on your screen or entering the bit.ly link into your URL. You can also access the survey by clicking the link in the comments. Feel free to send questions regarding this webinar or requests for additional information to rootedinresearch2020@gmail.com. To learn more about the All of Us Research Program and its benefits for our communities, visit www.joinallofus.org/draft.